A lone figure lies stranded in a vast, sun-scorched desert, a silent alarm blaring overhead. A single tear escapes her eye, a poignant symbol of her desolate predicament. That tear descends, a solitary drop against the overwhelming brightness. It hits the parched earth, not as water, but as a steaming, luminous essence. She awakens on a hard floor, disoriented and aghast, an empty vial near her hand. Her trembling fingers grasp an ornate pocket watch, her mind reeling in disbelief. The name Alicia Sirius Lane surfaces, the sole daughter to the Marquisate in 2 long centuries. A memory flashes, the cherished youngest daughter, posing with her seemingly idyllic family. Her younger self, with striking magenta eyes, embodied the innocence of that carefully crafted image. Guarded like a delicate bloom, she was deemed too precious to ever leave their protective hold. But that precious bloom image the world saw? Pure fabrication. The real Alicia was a stuttering recluse, lost in books and whispers of illegitimacy. Yet those piercing magenta eyes held secrets far beyond her timid demeanor. Oh, she knew the score. Alicia wasn't naive about her gilded cage. Born female and on the wrong side of the sheets, she'd already cheated death where others failed. Cleverly, she was registered as the Marchioness's own, a convenient legal fiction. Thus, she became the only young lady of the house, a lonely strategic pawn. For this seemingly insignificant daughter was, in fact, quite useful to her father's grand designs. So when she hit 17, surprise, the Marquis had a husband picked out for his valuable asset. Then, the scene shatters into a blindingly bright garden as if a new stage is set. In this dazzling garden, a gentleman approaches Alicia, expressing his honor. He introduces himself with a charming smile. Gregory of the Baker Count family. Alicia, her magenta eyes betraying a hint of nerves, reciprocates her identity as part of the Lan Marquisate. Her family's crest signifies their status, a formidable power within the imperial capital. His family's crest, equally imposing, marks them as influential figures from the north. With formal bows exchanged, the marriage negotiations between these 2 prominent families appeared to be proceeding without a hitch. But then, a scandalous affair involving Gregory and another woman threw everything into disarray. Suddenly, an enraged man appeared, fiercely protective and accusing someone of an unforgivable transgression against his wife. Gregory, caught and terrified, faced the furious demand for a duel, a grim reckoning looming. The aftermath was severe, leaving Gregory Baker permanently disabled, his future drastically altered. The Lane family declared the engagement void, but the Bakers dug in their heels, dragging the dissolution trial out for 8 excruciating years. Finally, the gavel fell, bringing the lengthy legal battle to a decisive end. By the time House Lane emerged victorious, Alicia had already reached the age of 25. At 25, society cruelly labeled her as past her prime, a discarded asset in the marriage market. Summoned by her father, Alicia cautiously entered his study, a sense of foreboding in the air. The Marquis, with a grim expression, wasted no time informing her that a new suitor had been chosen. Alicia reeled in shock as her father decreed her marriage to the infamous Grand Duke Tessin. The name Leichhardt Tessin hung heavy, a name synonymous with dread and power. He was the formidable ruler of Tessin, a land of riches and peril, the emperor's own half-brother, and guardian of the western border. More chillingly, whispers painted Leichhardt Tessin as a man whose previous Grand Duchesses met untimely ends. The Grand Duke, it turned out, had a rather grim marital history with 6 previous Grand Duchesses. His first wife met a mysterious end in her carriage, en route to Tessin after their wedding. The second couldn't handle Tessin's harsh conditions, returned home and succumbed to an unknown illness. His third wife fled in terror but perished in an accident while being forced back to Tessin by imperial decree. The 4th Grand Duchess met her demise in a tragic fall, a single red shoe marking her fate. For the 5th, a spilled cup hinted at a more insidious end, her life seeping away. And the 6th Grand Duchess? Her story, too, joined the pattern of untimely deaths. The chilling conclusion was clear. Marrying Leichhardt Tessin was a death sentence. Alicia knew these horrifying rumors. Surely her father, sending her to him, knew them too. Her hands clenched, realizing her father was essentially ordering her to her doom. Before her impassive father, Alicia's mind screamed a torrent of defiance and terror against this deadly fate. Her father, sensing her turmoil, coolly inquired if she had any objections to her own execution. Alicia flinched, startled by his directness. A gasp caught in her throat. The Marquis's icy blue eyes held no warmth, only unwavering, ruthless determination. Tears of despair traced paths down Alicia's face, her silent protest against the inevitable. Overwhelmed, she could only manage a choked sound, her spirit crumbling under the weight of his decree. Defeated, Alicia finally whispered her compliance, denying any opposition to her father's grim plan. With her submission secured, the Marquis curtly dismissed her, the closing door sealing her doom. Later, Alicia stared out at the sudden downpour, a stark contrast to the clear skies just moments before. The heavens wept, mirroring the sorrow of a young woman condemned by her own blood. Back in her chambers, Alicia sat stoically as her maid Lena attended to her hair. Her usually piercing magenta eyes were now clouded with a quiet resignation. Lena, her voice trembling slightly, addressed her lady with deep concern. The loyal maid then blurted out a desperate plea, begging Alicia to reconsider the perilous marriage. Realizing her impulsive words, Lena's face flushed with immediate regret and fear. She quickly apologized for her outburst, but Alicia, with a faint smile, told her it was all right. Alicia then requested a moment alone, needing to process her grim reality. She recalled her father's words. The Grand Duke had sent a marriage contract and a gift box. The Marquis had coolly instructed her to examine its contents with due respect. With a heavy heart, Alicia opened the ornate box, revealing the Grand Duke's offering. Inside, a dazzling collection of jewels and treasures sparkled, a king's ransom in a box. Alicia's magenta eyes widened, noting the sheer extravagance of the Grand Duke's offering. Her hand hesitated over a particularly radiant circular object, a flicker of confusion in her gaze. She picked up what appeared to be an old ornate pendant, musing if it was an imperial relic. With a click, she opened it, discovering it wasn't a pendant at all. Instead, it was an intricate watch, its hands suddenly glowing and spinning with an unnatural speed. Abruptly, Alicia felt herself pulled downwards, the room around her dissolving into a shadowy abyss. The watch face expanded, its hands whirling madly as she tumbled through a crimson-hued, chaotic void. She continued her dizzying descent, tossed about in this strange, unsettling dimension. Alicia's long hair billowed around her as she fell, her eyes squeezed shut against the bewildering plunge. Alicia landed unceremoniously in an inky blackness, a lone spotlight illuminating her fallen form. Disoriented, her magenta eyes darted around, desperately trying to comprehend her strange new reality. Suddenly, a mysterious droplet splashed onto her cheek, cold and unexpected. She tentatively touched the slick substance, a shiver of unease tracing down her spine. From the shadows, a monstrous entity with glowing eyes and razor-sharp teeth emerged, drool dripping menacingly. Alicia stood frozen, her gaze fixed on her hand, the terrifying encounter sinking in. Glancing back, she found herself surrounded by jagged, crystalline shards in a blood-red, nightmarish space. A desperate, almost manic look crossed her face as she tried to dismiss the horror as a mere dream. Ominous text declared a new date, Benedict calendar year 350, January 1st, a sharp object hinting at violence. The stark pronouncement followed. Alicia had indeed fallen into a hellish realm, a desperate hand reaching from the abyss. A blinding flash erupted in the hellish red sky, illuminating the jagged peaks of this nightmare realm. The ground below her was a desolate expanse of cracked earth, hinting at the harshness of her new prison. Alicia found herself slumped against a cold, crystalline rock, the shock of her arrival settling in. A single tear escaped, but her magenta eyes, though bruised, held a spark of resolve as she assessed her grim surroundings. Nearby, a colossal, multi-headed beast lay slumbering, its soft snores a deceptive calm in the terrifying landscape. Realizing the monstrous guardians were asleep, Alicia knew this fleeting moment was her only hope for escape. The narrative ominously declared this the day she descended into a hellish abyss and encountered the beast. A flashback showed her apparent demise, caught within the monstrous jaws of the terrifying creature. She remembered lying helpless, the colossal shadow of the beast falling upon her, a silent denial on her lips. The story then starkly presented a skull, confirming that, in that moment, Alicia believed she had perished. Surrounded by a chilling vision of skeletons, Alicia grappled with an almost unbelievable revelation. Suspended above a grim reaper-like figure, the impossible truth struck her. She was now immortal. She remembered a time when even the smallest paper cut would take a full week to heal. Now, however, her flesh mended from grievous harm within a single day, a horrifying new reality. The stark image of a skull underscored her dawning horror. Death offered no escape, even if she craved it. Confronted by a monstrous beast in this desolate land, her initial terror manifested as a desperate, whispered apology. At first, she could only weep and implore the monstrous entities to spare her wretched existence. As ghastly skulls whizzed past her head, she questioned the bewildering torment inflicted upon her. Then, her pleas for mercy transformed into fiery indignation, demanding to know her supposed crime. The barrage of spectral skulls persisted, a grim symbol of her unending, cyclical nightmare. Her spirit, once broken, now fiercely rebelled, resisting the endless torment with newfound defiance. Finally, amidst a chilling landscape of skeletal remains, a desperate resolve began to crystallize. Surrounded by symbols of her unending nightmare, Alicia made the monumental decision to attempt an escape. A tearful Alicia, however, couldn't silence the gnawing doubt, wondering if freedom was truly within her grasp. Dark thoughts plagued her, the terror of recapture and the unimaginable wrath of the monstrous entities. Her hand trembled uncontrollably, a stark physical manifestation of the fear still coursing through her. Overwhelmed, she clenched her fist, tears streaming as she confronted the raw terror of her situation. Yet, huddled in the desolate landscape, she began to rally her courage, insisting to herself that she could prevail. With a surge of desperate determination, Alicia took a firm, barefoot step into the oppressive unknown. She then plunged into a dark, narrow chasm, committing to the perilous path ahead. Alicia rocketed through the claustrophobic chasm, a blur of motion in the deep unknown. Gasping for air, she forged ahead, a nagging uncertainty about her escape route flickering within. Her bare, battered feet slammed against the harsh terrain, each impact a defiant beat against despair. Then a blinding beacon of light erupted ahead, shattering the gloom of her prison. Her magenta eyes flared with dawning elation. This had to be the way out. She surged forward, every fiber of her being straining towards that tantalizing glimmer of freedom. The light intensified, so close now, whispering promises of an end to her torment. With a final burst of speed, she raced towards the perceived exit, hell itself nipping at her heels. Her triumphant escape was shockingly cut short as dark, imposing forms loomed, her face a mask of sudden dread. But the menacing presence offered an unexpectedly gentle touch, her terror dissolving into astonished relief as the idea of home beckoned. That fleeting hope of home dissolved into a grim reality, marked by a crimson pool seeping into the earth. Her magenta eye, wide with renewed horror, reflected the brutal truth of her inescapable situation. For her supposed saviors were monstrous, wolf-like guardians, their eyes glinting with predatory hunger. A vivid, painful memory flashed, one such beast tearing into her, a recurring nightmare made real. She lay defeated once more, the bitter understanding of another failure crushing her spirit. The grim narrative confirmed her cyclical torment. Alicia's escape attempt had been futile. She was now merely hunting practice for the younger, less skilled beasts of this infernal domain. Tears of despair welled as she silently begged for a swift end over their clumsy, agonizing attacks. A monstrous jaw, slick with drool, loomed as a terrifying promise of the pain to come. Their inexperience ensured her suffering was cruelly prolonged, each clumsy strike a fresh wave of torment. Countless demises left piles of gnawed bones, a testament to her unending, unquantifiable torment. A startling thought struck Alicia. Her immortality meant even marrying the notorious Grand Duke wouldn't have killed her. She sardonically envisioned herself as the perfect, undying bride for a man famed for outliving his wives. Alicia mused that the Grand Duke might have begged for her hand, seeing a solution to his murderous reputation. Her focus snapped back to the present as she noted her tormentors were taking an unusually long time with their grim business. Lying defeated yet again, Alicia acknowledged her profound hatred for the endless cycle of agony. Amidst the grim scene, a revolutionary idea began to spark. If she detested pain so much, the thought fully bloomed. To avoid suffering, she could simply eliminate the source first. Her magenta eye flickered open with dawning clarity, questioning why this simple solution had eluded her for so long. A new, chilling resolve solidified. If she didn't want to be their prey, she would become the predator. Her new predator mindset made the grim task ahead feel almost elementary. The very bones of her past tormentors became her first instruments of retaliation. She exploited a crucial difference. While she healed, her foes possessed only finite lives. This was a battle she was destined to win, starting her campaign against the weaker younglings. Systematically, she began dismantling her opposition, one creature at a time with chilling precision. Her former tormentors could only issue frustrated growls as the tables decisively turned. She met the gaping maw of a beast head-on, wielding her makeshift weapon with deadly intent. Her grip on the bone tightened, a testament to her unyielding, battle-hardened determination. Splattered but undeterred, her eyes conveyed a single, chilling message of lethal finality to her foes. Her counteroffensive found its mark, effectively neutralizing the immediate threat with brutal efficiency. The very ground trembled as debris rained down, marking the end of that particular beast. Though marked by the encounter, Alicia's magenta eyes held a steely, unyielding gaze. She mentally bid a harsh farewell to her fallen tormentor, a grim satisfaction settling in. A flashback began, Alicia questioning a past decision made in a moment of desperation. Upon first being dragged into the den, her immediate instinct was to conceal something precious. Her hand had carefully tucked away an object, a secret kept even from herself for a time. It was a unique watch, the very artifact she believed responsible for her current predicament. A spark of triumph lit her features as she finally retrieved the hidden item. In the dim, timeless den, this watch had been her sole anchor to the concept of passing moments. Alicia now held the ornate, glowing timepiece, its intricate dials a beacon in the darkness. The date, January 19th, confirmed nearly 3 weeks had passed, making Alicia grimly tally her numerous demises. She gazed at the glowing watch, its steady tick a stark contrast to the chaotic passage of her suffering. Clutching the artifact, Alicia stood resolute, a new, vengeful energy coursing through her weary frame. Her foot slammed down with brutal force, beginning a furious desecration of her vanquished tormentor. Again and again she struck, each impact a visceral release of her pent-up agony and rage. She mentally roared her defiance, declaring that despite their efforts, she was the one left standing. The memory of being consumed piece by piece fueled her violent outburst against the fallen beast. Her entire being screamed out the question of whether they understood the depths of the pain they inflicted. With unrelenting force, she continued to pulverize the remains, a grim satisfaction in her actions. Suddenly, her destructive frenzy ceased, her expression shifting to one of utter, bewildered surprise. From the defeated beast, a strange, glowing shard unexpectedly materialized. Alicia, ever the opportunist, reached down to claim this peculiar spoil of war. She held the radiant card-like artifact, her mind racing to understand its significance. Her magenta eye, sharp and inquisitive, scrutinized the luminous mystery in her hand. The object flared with an almost blinding light, deepening the enigma of its purpose. Suddenly, the perspective changes, focusing on an immaculate envelope adorned with a golden, sun-crested seal. In a stately room, a silver-haired ruler addressed as Your Majesty granted audience to his aide, Juan. Juan, with an air of urgency, reported the arrival of a carriage distinguished by the Reign Marquess's emblem. The monarch, observing the carriage, cynically questioned if yet another life had been extinguished under his roof. Juan, however, hinted at a more complex situation, his expression betraying a hint of unease. Juan delivered the troubling news. The Marquess's daughter was officially missing. The monarch, however, met this report with a dismissive smirk, seemingly unconcerned by the update. He casually leaned against the window frame, his attention drifting outside. The ruler mused over the possibilities, a genuine disappearance, an escape from marriage, or perhaps an unavoidable fate. Suddenly, the scene shifts, throwing us into a dynamic clash where Alicia leaps to strike a colossal beast. On April 1st, year 358, Alicia, her eyes blazing with magenta light, fiercely brandished her weapon. Her attack connected with devastating power, the impact echoing through the desolate landscape. The improvised spear plunged true, breaching the monster's formidable defenses. Alicia stood defiantly upon her vanquished foe, a clear testament to her survival in this harsh realm. A knowing, battle-scarred smile touched Alicia's lips. She hadn't just survived, she was excelling. Alicia, ever the hunter, scanned her surroundings, a playful yet menacing aura about her as she sought new prey. Unseen, a new challenger with sharp claws and a predatory grin watched, clearly amused by the unfolding chaos. Alicia examined her latest spoils, 3 radiant pink gems, pulsating with an unknown energy. Suddenly, a powerful force slammed into the ground nearby, kicking up a cloud of dust and debris. A cat-eared assailant lunged at Alicia, his eyes gleaming with a wild, almost feral intensity. The newcomer's fist connected with brutal force, demonstrating his own formidable power. Alicia, undeterred, launched herself into the air, spear aimed, demanding the identity of this audacious attacker. With swift precision, Alicia seized her opponent by the hair, a look of grim determination on her face. She effortlessly swung the surprised cat-eared boy, his indignant protest cut short by her sheer strength. Alicia, her magenta eyes blazing, brought her foe crashing down, asserting her dominance over this contested kill. Alicia towered over her downed opponent, delivering a stern lecture on the universal consequences of thievery. The cat-eared boy, still reeling from the impact, covered his mouth in stunned silence. His wide, tear-filled eyes conveyed a desperate plea for his life, his bravado completely shattered. Alicia paused, her magenta eyes widening in surprise as she registered her opponent's ability to speak. The boy, now thoroughly intimidated, sat warily as Alicia's spear remained a menacing presence. He hastily prostrated himself, apologizing profusely for his misjudgment and attempted theft, even offering up his own spoils. With his face to the ground, he begged for mercy, promising to never cross her path again. Alicia regarded the groveling figure, her initial fury giving way to a more contemplative assessment. She then questioned him about their location, to which he nervously identified the area as West Alec. A comically surprised chibi Alicia pondered if such an outlandish name could actually belong to a real place. Alicia grimly recalled that since her arrival, this desolate place had only revealed itself as hell. Exhausted, she touched her forehead, the harsh truth of her surroundings sinking in. A childhood memory surfaced, a book's vivid description of hell's crimson skies and fiery air. The ancient text further detailed hell's relentless heat, even through the darkest nights. Despite these grim recollections, Alicia confessed her utter confusion about her current situation. The cat-eared boy, still wary, gestured towards Alicia's spoils, inquiring about the glowing pink gems. Her magenta eyes widened as he explained these were peculiar stones that enhanced strength upon consumption. A subtle, knowing smile touched Alicia's lips. She recognized them instantly as mana stones. The boy, astonished, questioned why she'd casually leave such valuable items unattended, while Alicia seemed to downplay their worth. He then passionately declared their incredible rarity, calling them the largest mana stones he'd ever encountered, perhaps even Lord Class. The cat-eared boy, visibly yearning, imagined the power he could gain, as Alicia made a startling proposition. A whimsical chibi representation showed Alicia confirming her offer of the mana stone, much to the cat boy's disbelief. He flushed, stammering in astonishment, barely daring to hope she was serious about such a gift. Alicia, with a confident and knowing smile, assured him the valuable mana stone could indeed be his. Her generosity, however, hinged on one condition. He first had to answer a few of her pressing questions. Suddenly, a mysterious black crow with piercing, luminous eyes appeared, its gaze fixed on them. The air crackled with new information, defining mana stones as crystallized power born from concentrated mana. A vivid memory flashed, a mentor figure bursting in, declaring that hunting mere wild beasts wouldn't secure stronger mana stones for Alicia. This mentor further elaborated that mana stones from wild monsters were merely random, limited byproducts. The recollection then presented intelligent demons as a superior source, their potential for powerful mana stones far exceeding common beasts. The mentor explained that intelligent demons purposefully control mana, hunting each other to steal power and grow stronger. This grim calculus dictated a simple truth. The mightier the demon hunted, the more potent the mana stone obtained. Her mentor then listed the cardinal powers of this realm: Noah of the east, Alec of the west, Fez of the south, and Kaya of the north. These 4 castle lords, Alicia learned, were reputed to be the absolute strongest beings in hell itself. The memory shifted, showing a colossal, ornate door, depicting a celestial infernal struggle beginning to part. Blinding light erupted from the widening gap, signaling a momentous arrival or revelation. Through the illuminated passage, a distant figure on a throne awaited, as an unseen presence acknowledged the arrival of a seeker. A new, unsettling figure with vibrant green hair and a predatory smile extended a chilling welcome to West Alec Castle. This entity identified itself as both the steward of the Western Hall and the formidable master of West Alec Castle. Alicia, recognizing the name, immediately launched her spear with deadly intent towards the self-proclaimed Alec. Alicia dismissed any need for introductions, her focus locked on her target. Her spear rocketed through the grand hall, a blur of deadly intent. Surveying the scene from above, she noted the impressive scale of her newly acquired prize. She held aloft a massive, pulsating red mana stone, clearly satisfied with her high-stakes gamble. With Alec's power now hers, she casually considered which cardinal direction to conquer next. The crimson mana stone suddenly erupted, shattering into fragments of pure energy. A brilliant white light coalesced in her hand, Alicia feeling she had all the time in this realm. Her magenta eye shone with an intensified light, reflecting the immense power she now wielded. A flicker of confusion crossed her features as a startling thought began to surface. Her eyes widened in dawning apprehension as a critical oversight struck her. Her mind screamed as the full weight of her miscalculation crashed down. She gasped awake, the opulent chandelier above a stark contrast to her recent memories. Disoriented, she recognized the lavish surroundings as her own room, a place she hadn't expected to see. Throwing back the covers, she sat up, a sense of unreality washing over her. She jolted upright in bed, the transition from hell to luxury utterly jarring. Clutching her head, she wondered if the brutal ordeal was truly over, if she had somehow returned. Her magenta eye, wide with a dawning, unbelievable truth, reflected a sudden, shocking insight. Scrambling to a nearby mirror, she stared in utter disbelief at the reflection before her. Her jaw dropped. The face staring back was undeniably hers, yet impossibly, startlingly younger. Touching her smooth cheek, she pondered if Alec's potent mana stone had somehow reversed her age. Alicia winced, suspecting a sprained ankle from an earlier fall. Her magenta eyes widened in disbelief as a new, unsettling realization dawned. Examining her ankle, she found it alarmingly thin, seemingly just bone. A horrified glance at her arms confirmed her entire body felt impossibly weak. She despaired, knowing this frail form couldn't even wield a simple stick, much less her spear. Crushed, Alicia understood that her return from hell came at a terrible price. The stark truth hit her. She had lost all her hard-won power. Memories of her immense strength, fueled by countless mana stones, flashed before her. Now her hand held nothing, a bitter testament to her vanished might. Suddenly, a sharp knocking at the door jolted her from her despair. A maid, introducing herself as Daisy, stood outside Alicia's ornate bedroom door. Alicia, visibly startled by the voice, weakly asked if the visitor could enter. Flustered, she dove under the covers, granting permission for Daisy to come in. Daisy entered, offering a polite, "Good morning, Lady Alicia," to the figure in bed. The maid then inquired if Alicia had managed to sleep well. Alicia, attempting a casual demeanor, affirmed she had, then began to question Daisy. Suddenly, Alicia shot upright in bed, her eyes wide with a new, startling realization. Fixing Daisy with an intense stare, Alicia urgently inquired about the maid's current age. Daisy, slightly bewildered, confirmed that Alicia was indeed asking about her age. The maid calmly stated she was 22 years old, noting that autumn had recently passed. Daisy, perplexed by the sudden interrogation, repeated her question, wondering what was amiss with her lady. Alicia's mind raced. It wasn't just youth. She was at the very point her life had unraveled. The horrifying truth settled. She had regressed to her 17-year-old past, a time of vulnerability. Time seemed to blur as the sun arced across a bright, indifferent sky. Later, Alicia lay in her opulent bed, a blonde woman and Daisy attending to her. Alicia stirred weakly, a gloved hand gently touching her forehead as she began to regain consciousness. Her magenta eye fluttered open, a faint whisper for water escaping her lips. The blonde woman, startled by Alicia's awakening, called out her name with evident concern. The woman carefully helped Alicia sit up, advising her to drink slowly. With a worried expression, she asked Alicia what had happened, shocked by her sudden collapse. Alicia, ever so faintly, acknowledged the blonde woman as mother, a word heavy with unspoken history. A flicker of something unreadable, shock, suspicion, crossed the mother's face. She pivoted, a woman on a mission, swatting aside a butler's concerned inquiry about her sudden departure. The mother bitingly wondered if she, the lady of the house, was now barred from certain areas or if they were just hiding things. Chaos erupted below stairs. The madam was making a beeline for the south wing, and someone better fetch the marquis, pronto. The staff's hushed whispers painted a scandalous picture. an illegitimate child, the Marquis's secret living under their very roof. And there she was, the mother, a figure of righteous fury, casting a long, ominous shadow over a tiny, unsuspecting girl. The little girl, magenta eyes wide with childish curiosity, piped up, asking if the grand lady was perhaps Alicia. A nanny, materializing from nowhere, practically vibrated with panic, desperate to spin an explanation. Oblivious to the impending domestic explosion, the young child offered a simple, polite greeting. The mother, with a practiced smile, knelt and introduced herself to the bewildered child, the nanny looking on anxiously. The little girl's magenta eyes widened, a flicker of unease crossing her young face at this sudden maternal claim. A chilling memory surfaced, a shadowy figure's harsh words, demanding she understand her precarious position. The spectral voice from her past cruelly reminded her that everything she possessed was merely borrowed. Her mother's serene yet unsettling smile from that memory advised gratitude for scraps, warning against ambition. The little girl's present fear mirrored her past terror, surrounded by unseen, judging eyes. Overwhelmed, the child instinctively sought refuge behind the nanny, who appeared equally distressed by the mother's presence. The mother, feigning innocence, inquired if her unexpected appearance had startled the young Alicia. Claiming overwhelming joy prompted her impromptu visit. The mother then bid Alicia to rest, departing as abruptly as she arrived, leaving the child trembling. A poignant thought echoed in the child's mind, questioning the nature of her beautiful, supposedly kind mother. The child Alicia wept, overwhelmed by a profound sense of sorrow and helplessness. She recalled feeling her very existence was a sin, a constant reminder of an affair despite her mother's bright smiles. Even after understanding her mother's genuine love, the weight of her past perception lingered. Back in her 17-year-old body, Alicia found it difficult to address the Marchioness with newfound intimacy. She remembered the deep regret she felt in hell for not acknowledging her mother properly. Gathering her courage, Alicia requested more water, finally calling the startled woman Mother. Her mother's face lit up, observing Alicia's thirst, and readily agreeing to fetch more water. The mother then eagerly offered to fulfill any of Alicia's wishes, beaming with maternal affection. Nearby, Daisy the maid observed with keen interest, noting Alicia spoke clearly, without her usual hesitation. Daisy's surprise grew as she registered that Alicia had also, for the first time, addressed the Marchioness as Mother. Daisy, retreating down the grand hallway, pondered how someone could transform so utterly in a moment. The maid mused that Alicia seemed almost reborn, as the Marchioness offered her daughter herbal tea for her perceived weakness. Alicia, with newfound resolve, gently took the Marchioness's gloved hand, once again calling her Mother. Cutting straight to the chase, Alicia inquired if Gregory Barker was indeed her decided fiancé, leaving her mother stunned by this prescient knowledge. The Marchioness, clasping Alicia's hand reassuringly, reminded her daughter of her youth. Alicia confessed her dislike for Gregory, hoping that since the engagement wasn't yet official, there was still time to alter her fate. Internally, Alicia wrestled with doubt, wondering if even her mother could overturn a noble marriage, a binding contract between powerful families. The Marchioness, her expression firm and resolute, confidently told Alicia to entrust the matter entirely to her. To Alicia's wide-eyed astonishment, her mother confessed her own disapproval of Gregory Barker. The Marchioness elaborated that Gregory, despite superficial differences, possessed an unsettling resemblance to Alicia's father in his younger, perhaps more difficult days. The Marchioness embraced Alicia tightly, promising her daughter could trust her completely. She vowed fiercely never to let Alicia endure a marriage she didn't desire. With determined steps and elegant heels, the Marchioness set off on her mission. She stormed into the Marquis's office, interrupting him at his grand desk. The Marquis paused his writing, his hand hovering over a document, sensing the intrusion. Suddenly, Alicia appeared, equally resolute, demanding her mother be freed from whatever constraint was implied. Her father immediately rebuked Alicia for barging into the family head's office unannounced. The Marquis, with a stern glare, ordered Alicia Sirius Lane back to her room at once. Alicia, unintimidated, challenged his authority, questioning his right to confine the lady of the house. She stood her ground, formally addressing him as His Excellency Marquis Valdemar Lane, ready for a confrontation. The Marquis, ever mindful of appearances, warned Alicia to choose her words carefully, citing listening ears. Alicia scoffed, utterly unconvinced by his flimsy excuse that her mother was merely ill and recuperating. She slammed her hand down decisively, asserting her mother was truly confined for opposing Alicia's engagement. Alicia then exposed his hypocrisy, locking up the lady of the house, yet obsessing over potential eavesdroppers. He cut her off sharply, his voice low and firm, reiterating his tiresome concern about the ever-present ears. Exasperated by his constant worry over gossip, Alicia presented a rather pointed hypothetical situation. She leaned in provocatively, suggesting a shocking scenario involving her fiancé that would surely decimate his precious reputation. The Marquis visibly recoiled, his expression a mixture of disbelief and mounting fury at her sheer audacity. He finally erupted, accusing his own daughter of brazenly threatening the head of the family. Alicia, with chilling composure, clarified that what he perceived as a threat was merely her exercising considerable restraint against him. Alicia's eyes blazed with an intensity that hinted at the immense effort she was exerting to hold back. The Marquis, visibly shaken, wondered if this fierce glint had always lurked beneath his daughter's quiet demeanor. He acknowledged a nagging feeling that something about Alicia had been amiss from the very start of this confrontation. His mind flashed back to the Alicia he knew, a girl who never dared to refuse, always compliant. He grappled with the shocking transformation of his once timid daughter, who now boldly challenged him in his own office. The Marquis recognized in her gaze the steely resolve of a seasoned, unyielding warrior. He tried to dismiss his unsettling observations, questioning the very direction of his thoughts. He reminded himself that Alicia once quaked at his mere glance, finding it hard to believe such a profound change. The Marquis rationalized her defiance as a mere rebellious phase, a common trait in youngsters. Alicia, though her cheek flushed slightly, maintained her composed and determined stance. The Marquis, still trying to assert control, sternly ordered Alicia to return to her room immediately. He then lectured her, stating that defying the head of the household warrants severe punishment, but he'd let it slide due to her youth. His leniency involved confining Alicia until she reflected on her actions and showed repentance. Later, Alicia, now in a different, more relaxed setting, coolly addressed a young man, seemingly unbothered by her recent confrontation. The young man, utterly flabbergasted, demanded to know what she meant by her nonchalant attitude, calling her outburst noisy. This astonished individual was none other than Harry Molston Lane, Alicia's brother and the second son of the Lane Marquessate. Harry couldn't believe Alicia's casual "so" after being banned from the main house for her defiance. He questioned if she wasn't worried about offending their father, but Alicia simply stated she preferred avoiding the stuffy main house. Harry, his expression shifting to concern, then brought up the crucial question: what about their mother? Just then, a door creaked open, revealing that the Marchioness had indeed emerged from her confinement. Harry explained their mother was banned from the southern wing, and upon hearing about Alicia, tried to reach her. Their eldest brother, Felix Henry Lane, barely managed to restrain the Marchioness. Alicia, with a knowing look, remarked that it must be tough for her big brother, too. She then coolly asked Harry if he had checked on her enough to report back to their mother. Harry, taken aback, insisted he came because he was genuinely worried about Alicia. Alicia, with a flick of her wrist, questioned if they were ever that close. Her brother dramatically recoiled, slumping over the table at her icy remark. Harry, recovering with a nervous laugh, asserted that he did care quite a bit for his one and only little sister. Alicia, looking down, admitted his concern gave her a strange feeling. She found it peculiar to hear her brother express such sentiments. Alicia, with a gentle smile, conceded that her brother's newfound concern wasn't entirely unwelcome. Harry, flustered, admitted he never anticipated her affection, finding her care more embarrassing than he'd imagined. He then expressed his own quiet satisfaction at having returned to the past, prompting Alicia to question his sudden cheerfulness. Harry, his demeanor shifting to serious, cut straight to the chase, asking about the status of her engagement. He grimly informed her that interfamily negotiations were finalized, awaiting only the Emperor's blessing and a public declaration. Alicia thoughtfully considered the looming imperial approval, while Harry probed if she truly detested the match so fiercely. She then steered the conversation to her disastrous debutante ball, a memory Harry confirmed he hadn't forgotten. Harry recalled the humiliating incident where Alicia tripped, faced ridicule, and subsequently hid herself away. A flashback showed young Alicia, mortified on the ballroom floor, trying to compose herself amidst derisive laughter. Her eyes, however, now held a chilling, resolute glint, hinting at a past far darker than a simple fall. In the flashback, a seemingly concerned Gregory Barker offered Alicia a hand after her humiliating fall. Alicia, now writing at her desk, revealed that Gregory Barker was, in fact, the very first person to mock her. The memory of that disastrous debutante ball, a once-in-a-lifetime event, ended in utter ruin. Harry, his expression grim, then offered a rather extreme solution to deal with Gregory. Alicia, holding a letter, admitted the thought was comforting but impossible, then apologized for Harry's ignorance of the situation. Harry, undeterred, contemplated a duel or, at the very least, inflicting some physical harm on Gregory. Alicia then presented Harry with a neatly sealed envelope, a new task for her brother. Harry, caught off guard, accepted the letter, his curiosity piqued by its contents. Alicia calmly instructed him to deliver the missive to Duke Tessin, leaving Harry utterly astounded. Her brother stared in disbelief at the letter, completely baffled by Alicia's audacious request. Harry's tiny inner voice screamed confusion at Alicia's enigmatic smile. Alicia, with a dazzlingly sweet expression, urged her brother to be swift and discreet, confidently expecting his cooperation. The scene transitions to the imposing, sun-drenched facade of Duke Tessin's grand estate. Inside, Duke Tessin, a man of clear authority, examined the unexpected letter with a puzzled frown. The missive detailed the highly confidential marriage negotiations involving Grites from the royal family. The Duke revealed to his butler and aide that he'd received a polite warning about his intended's ill health, questioning how such sensitive information spread. His aide, Roderick, looked utterly bewildered, asserting the ducal estate couldn't possibly be the source of the leak, as he'd just learned of the engagement's progress. Duke Tessin, lost in thought, then issued orders. His butler would remain, while Roderick was to prepare for a journey. Roderick, visibly startled, questioned if the Duke truly planned to meet the mysterious sender, Sirius, face to face. The letter's contents specified a clandestine meeting, at the 7 Rocks of Dolor near the Great Temple, on the last day of autumn. Duke Tessin coolly revealed he had in fact summoned this mysterious Sirius for a meeting. His aide, Roderick, protested vehemently as the Duke ordered a minimal escort for the clandestine rendezvous. The Duke, with an unyielding gaze, silenced Roderick's concerns, leaving both attendants visibly uneasy. Alone in his grand study, Duke Tessin let out a heavy sigh, the weight of the unknown informant pressing upon him. He eyed the letter again, noting with disdain the sender's choice of ostentatiously fancy stationery. The Duke mused with dry sarcasm about the congratulations on his engagement, clearly troubled by the warning it contained. Elsewhere, Alicia, gazing out a window, confidently awaited news of her letter's reception, her secret identity as Sirius pondered by an unseen narrator. A grand carriage, undoubtedly carrying Alicia, journeyed through a sun-dappled forest path. Inside, Alicia inquired about their proximity to the Dolor Grand Temple, her maid Daisy confirming they were nearly there. Alicia, appearing slightly fatigued, remarked that their journey to the meeting point felt longer than anticipated. Alicia expressed relief at using her mother's superior carriage, admitting her own would have induced motion sickness. She cheerfully praised the Apple family carriage for its incredibly smooth, bump-free journey. Suddenly, Alicia's pleasant ride was violently interrupted, her expression turning to shock. Her eyes widened in alarm as she tried to comprehend the sudden jarring disturbance. The carriage, viewed from outside, shook erratically, hinting at an unforeseen and chaotic event. Disoriented, Alicia clutched her head, bewildered by the intense shaking within the carriage. A brief, comical cutaway, Alicia in Hell, showed a tiny Alicia enjoying a smooth ride on a fantastical beast, a stark contrast to her current reality. Leaning wearily, Alicia lamented her past self's frailty, questioning her former weakness. Her gaze sharpened with suspicion, wondering if the sudden halt was due to a robbery attempt. Daisy, ever loyal, confidently stated no one would dare attack the Apple carriage and bravely decided to investigate. Alicia urgently warned Daisy not to open the door, but the maid, startled, had already cracked it open. Daisy peered out, her expression questioning, just as something unseen whizzed past. Her glasses flew off as she suddenly went limp, collapsing backwards into the carriage. Alicia caught her falling maid, frantically checking if Daisy had fainted but confirming she was still breathing. Examining Daisy, Alicia's eyes widened as she spotted a tiny, sinister dart lodged in her maid's neck. Alicia carefully sniffed the dart, recognizing the distinct aroma of cinnamon and cypress. Her mind raced, knowing only one specific poison carried that particular scent. A look of dawning horror crossed Alicia's face. This poison was something that shouldn't even be in this region. Alicia, her expression grim, identified the deadly substance with chilling certainty. Just as Alicia named the poison Musto, a blonde-haired man appeared outside the carriage door, his back to the viewer. The mysterious blonde man steps into the carriage, coolly informing Alicia her maid is merely asleep and not in danger. He justifies his abrupt methods, claiming he must secure Alicia to prevent further leaks of royal secrets. With an air of authority, the man then firmly instructs Lady Alicia to exit the carriage. His golden eyes meet hers as he drops the bombshell, asking if he should call her Sirius instead. The scene highlights his striking features, hair like molten gold and skin as white as snow. His eyes, a captivating clear blue, are likened to pristine water, adding to his remarkable appearance. Despite his noble bearing, a narrator reveals he supposedly inherited no royal traits and was even deemed brutish. Alicia, however, internally finds him undeniably handsome as he directs her to wait until summoned. The man, observing Alicia, inwardly notes she doesn't fit the image of someone who'd send such an audacious letter. He considers how his actions might appear to outsiders, perhaps like he's accosting a vulnerable young woman. The blonde man reveals his knowledge of Lady Lauren of Greitz's reported heart condition. Alicia, with a serene smile, confirms the accuracy of his information. She further explains that Lady Lauren's delicate health meant the arduous journey to Tessin would have been impossible, a fact known only to her closest relatives and personal maid. The man presses Alicia, Sirius, on how she acquired such closely guarded information, while she playfully asks if he's intrigued. He then politely but firmly gestures for Alicia to alight from the carriage. Alicia steps out, a little unsteadily, and immediately questions if this is the clandestine meeting spot mentioned in her letter. The man assures her they are close to the destination, just a brief walk away, offering his hand. He inwardly notes that the Marquis Lane's daughter is decidedly not the shy individual she was rumored to be, as he prepares to proceed. Alicia follows, internally pondering whether she truly had any option but to obey his summons. She then directly asks him why he chose this specific secluded location for their meeting, to which he cryptically replies he has something to confirm. Alicia casually mentions the 7 stones of Dolore, noting their original function as a sundial. She elaborates that daytime is for the living, while night and dawn belong to the dead. This lore implies that non-human entities are barred from the ruins under the sun's gaze, as a fiery figure demonstrates. Alicia then inquires if His Highness has visited this place before, to which he admits it's his first time, turning the question back to her. With a subtle smile, Alicia confirms it's also her first visit to these mysterious ruins. The blonde man takes a decisive step forward, his practical buckled boots crunching on the path. Alicia, observing him halt, questions if he intends to enter, prompting him to gesture for her to proceed first. Suspicion flickers in Alicia's eyes as she internally wonders about his true intentions and potential schemes. Her mind races, considering if he has orchestrated some sort of snare within the ancient site. A knowing, almost challenging smile plays on Alicia's lips as she ponders the implications if she, for some reason, cannot enter. The blonde man strides purposefully towards the ruins, internally resolving to overcome any obstacle, even a trap. Alicia, observing him approach the ancient stones, boldly declares that His Highness is, in fact, human. His golden eyes flash with surprise, clearly perplexed by her unexpected assertion. He turns, a hand raised in a questioning gesture, wondering aloud if she felt no fear. Alicia calmly elaborates that his inability to enter the ruins would have confirmed he wasn't human. He internally scoffs, realizing she must have bought into the rumors of him being a demon, then dismisses the stones as harmless. Alicia, with a knowing look, praises His Highness for his apparent courage. Her mind then drifts to a deeper contemplation. What if this ruin, and even hell itself, are genuine? If such a place as hell exists, she reasons, then the sundial separating humans from others must also hold true. As they stand within the stone circle, Alicia internally connects this to her own past, having experienced hell and a journey back through time. Alicia steps forward, her mind wrestling with the profound question of her own humanity. She continues into the ruins, wondering if her journey through hell has altered her very essence. Bathed in the ancient light, Alicia now faces the blonde man, her personal trial concluded. A radiant smile dawns as she confirms her own humanity, a silent victory within the sacred stones. The blonde man watches, inwardly noting her decidedly strange and unpredictable demeanor. Alicia boldly addresses him, expressing gratitude for his patience, which led her to a vital confirmation. He seems momentarily startled by her forthrightness and the unwavering confidence in her eyes. She declares it's time for a proper introduction as a spectral vision of her blue-haired persona materializes. This ethereal counterpart bows respectfully, identifying herself as Sirius, the author of that daring letter. The vibrant purple-haired Alicia then beams, proudly stating her full name, Alicia Sirius Lane. The blonde man, eyes momentarily closed, acknowledges her identity as Marquis Lane's daughter. Alicia, standing before him amidst the ancient stones, suggests his awareness will simplify matters. She then dramatically drops to one knee, formally addressing him as Duke Reincarnated Tessin. His golden eyes widen, a flicker of astonishment crossing his usually composed features. Surrounded by an almost dreamlike floral aura, Alicia extends her hand, boldly proposing marriage. The Duke watches her kneeling form, internally revising his assessment. She's far beyond merely strange. His shock intensifies as he inwardly declares her utterly unhinged, his expression one of pure disbelief. Amidst the towering stones, Alicia respectfully addresses him again as Grand Duke, Your Highness. She repeats her audacious marriage proposal, her gaze earnest amidst a shower of hearts and flowers. The Duke is visibly stunned, a dark, incredulous aura emanating from him as he processes her bold request. Alicia, with a knowing look, acknowledges her proposal is sudden, but insists he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. The Duke, with his back turned, internally scoffs, wondering if she believes he journeyed here for such trivialities. He declares it a waste of time and strides away, leaving Alicia still kneeling by the ancient stone. Alicia, surprised by his abrupt departure, watches him go, her hand still outstretched. She urgently calls for him to halt his retreat. Alicia hurries after him, protesting that he hasn't heard her entire proposal, while he retorts there's no need. She dangles her knowledge of the imperial family's marriage as bait, but he bluntly states his lack of curiosity. Alicia looks up at him, genuinely perplexed, certain he should be intrigued by her information. The Duke, eyes closed in exasperation, seems to be reaching his limit with her persistence. His golden eyes snap open, blazing with an intense, almost menacing light as he glares down at her. The Duke is suddenly engulfed in a terrifying, shadowy vision, questioning if the Rua cycle is still far off. His golden eye reflects internal turmoil as he wonders if he's strayed too far from his domain. He stumbles, visibly weakened, as Alicia rushes to his side, inquiring about his distress while he internally resolves to return to Tessin. Alicia supports the faltering Duke, who clutches his head in apparent agony, as she anxiously asks if he's all right. Concern etched on her face, Alicia reaches out, calling to His Highness as he seems to fade. The Duke's pained eye stares blankly ahead, sweat beading on his brow, while Alicia desperately tries to get his attention. With a sudden surge of force, he violently repels Alicia's touch. Alicia is sent sprawling to the ground, stunned by his abrupt and forceful rejection. The Duke looms over her, his face contorted in a dark, pained expression, breathing heavily. Alicia, still on the forest floor, looks up in bewildered concern as he curtly dismisses his alarming episode. Alicia, regaining her composure, gazes at the Duke with unwavering determination. She gently takes his hand, a silent offer of support amidst a radiant glow. Alicia, though slightly flustered, insists on escorting the still unwell Duke to his carriage. He remains still, allowing her to hold his hand as she looks up at him with concern. Suddenly, an unseen sound seems to ripple through the air, catching the Duke's attention. His golden eyes focus, keenly aware of this new auditory sensation. Just as quickly as it began, the mysterious sound ceases, leaving him to ponder its meaning. The Duke internally questions if her presence somehow quelled the disturbance, while Alicia worries she overstepped. Her fingers rest lightly on his, a delicate connection between them. Unexpectedly, his hand closes firmly around hers, a silent, powerful response. Alicia is utterly flabbergasted by his sudden, firm grip. The Duke then pulls her close, desperately commanding her not to let go, a floral aura surrounding them. Pressed against his shoulder, Alicia is a picture of pure, unadulterated confusion. Now seated on a bench, their hands remain clasped, an unspoken tension filling the air. Alicia ponders this unexpected development, her mind racing to understand his actions. She tentatively questions the necessity of their continued hand-holding during their discussion. The Duke, with a steely gaze, affirms it's a non-negotiable term for their conversation to proceed. Leaning forward in renewed discomfort, he wearily asks her to state her ultimate demand. Alicia's face lights up with triumphant glee, clearly thrilled he's finally ready to listen. Amidst a vision of flowers and chains, she reiterates her marriage proposal, hinting at mutual benefits. Alicia sweetens the deal, offering to divine his future 4 times annually. The Duke, still hand in hand with her on the bench, internally dismisses her prophetic claims as utterly preposterous. He skeptically wonders aloud how he could possibly trust such pronouncements. With a knowing smile, Alicia points out her previous accurate letter drew him here. The Duke offers no immediate rebuttal, his sharp profile hinting at internal deliberation. He muses that a truly rational woman wouldn't have dared propose to him in the first place. Alicia, with a slight turn, directly inquires about the individual he wishes to eliminate. She boldly names Gregory Baker, a prominent family crest materializing with her words. The Duke thoughtfully considers the Baker name, acknowledging the significant cost of severing ties with such an influential family. His golden eye gleams with a new understanding. This woman holds the key to Tesson's curse, making him the one in need. Alicia beams with a radiant, victorious smile, clearly pleased with this turn of events. Her elation deflates instantly as he declares immediate marriage out of the question, leaving her utterly aghast. He counters with an engagement, deeming it a sufficient move against the Baker family for now. Alicia thoughtfully considers his proposal, as he assures her of her future status and inquires about further needs. With a finger to her lips, she expresses her confidence in his ability to handle all arrangements. A sly, knowing smirk plays on her lips as she casually mentions her rather greedy nature. The Duke, with serene composure, acknowledges her warning, promising to remember her penchant for wanting more. Having concluded their discussion, they remain seated together on the sun-dappled bench. Alicia, with a cheerful yet pointed smile, politely requests he finally let go of her hand. His gaze shifts to their intertwined fingers, then to her face, a hint of contemplation in his golden eyes. With a simple, "as you wish," the Duke finally releases her hand, their fingers parting. Alicia beams, eagerly anticipating their future collaboration, while the Duke maintains a composed facade. His golden eyes meet hers as he coolly acknowledges their impending partnership. Suddenly, news of their engagement hits the streets, a paperboy heralding the shocking announcement. Whispers fly as the public learns the Grand Duke of Tesson is engaged to a mysterious northern lady, many deeming him utterly smitten. Tongues wag over the extravagant engagement gifts, including Rudern Castle and the legendary Lilihe Villa. The list of lavish presents grows, even encompassing the strategic Echeverria territory, leaving everyone astounded by his generosity. As the public marvels at who this Alicia Lean could be to receive such favor, a determined step echoes. Elsewhere, Alicia, in training attire, bemoans her physical limitations without a magic stone. Unaware, a flustered man approaches. Her associate, aghast, shoves a newspaper detailing her engagement towards Alicia, demanding an explanation for the sensational news. Her associate, still reeling, turns away in disbelief at the unfolding chaos. Alicia, with a casual glance, wonders how quickly the engagement news traveled north. She playfully laments the newspaper's focus on the Duke, conveniently forgetting her own obscurity. Her associate, unimpressed, reminds her of her supposed temple visit and current predicament. Alicia internally admits her temple trip was a fib due to her current confinement, much to her companion's dismay. Their attention momentarily shifts to a newspaper article detailing a lucrative Salt Mountain discovery. Suddenly, a hand darts out, aiming to confiscate the scandalous publication. Her flustered associate snatches the paper back, desperately trying to shield her from further details. Alicia, unfazed, reminds him he brought the news, then pivots to inquire about her brother's fate. Her vibrant eyes narrow, a spark of concern for her sibling now mixing with her usual resolve. A pristine white horse is presented to Alicia, her associate looking on as a man confirms her order is ready. Alicia beams, ready to depart, while her associate skeptically notes her lack of prior riding experience, a fact she internally scoffs at. With surprising skill, Alicia mounts the steed and gallops off, leaving her associate to grumble about her blatant untruth. Her companion sighs in resignation as Alicia expertly rides away, a tiny, determined figure disappearing into the distance. The powerful hooves of her mount kick up dust, marking her swift departure. Mid-gallop, Alicia glances back, a flicker of surprise in her vibrant eyes. Her associate, a touch of worry in his voice, questions the necessity of her immediate departure. Suddenly, another figure rushes towards Alicia's associate, urgently calling out to him. The newcomer breathlessly informs Alicia's associate that his presence is demanded at the reinstatement office right away. Looking flustered, the messenger hesitates, clearly burdened by the urgent yet unspoken reason. Alicia, astride her steed, cryptically instructs her associate to proceed to the reinstatement office without immediate explanation. Her associate, with a hint of understanding, announces his imminent departure. With a cheerful wave from horseback, Alicia promises her return and advises him to stay out of mischief. Her companion turns and walks towards a grand building, his footsteps echoing his compliance. Alicia glances back, a pensive look in her vibrant eyes as she watches him leave, a castle looming behind her. She skillfully reins her white horse, preparing for a swift departure in the opposite direction. Taking a steadying breath, Alicia's resolve firms as she readies herself for the journey ahead. A close-up reveals her focused gaze, a subtle determination etched on her features. Her thoughts drift to a past misadventure, a reckless attempt to leap down a long flight of stairs. She recalls the near disaster, saved only by quick-acting maids, and laments her current physical struggles despite past knowledge. Alicia midair grabs a sturdy tree branch, her horse now far below. She lands gracefully on the branch, internally noting her current well-being despite the daring maneuver. With surprising agility, she sprints across the thick tree limb, her hair flying behind her. Her booted foot impacts the wood, a small crack appearing as she pushes off. She launches herself from the branch, aiming for a higher point. Alicia attempts to scale a high wall, a feat she once managed with ease, now a struggle. Her grip falters, her hand slipping from the wall's edge in a moment of panic. She plummets downwards, a stark reminder of her physical constraints. Her thoughts crystallize on the one thing she desperately misses, her magic stone. Lying on the ground amidst fallen leaves, Alicia grimaces, forced to accept her current powerlessness. Alicia's vibrant purple eye peeks from the ground, a shadow falling over her. The Duke appears, his golden eyes assessing her, questioning if her whole family trains so unconventionally. Sprawled on the ground, Alicia stares up in utter shock, recognizing the Duke with a jolt. He extends a hand, coolly explaining his arrival for the title conferment ceremony, as if finding her on the floor is perfectly normal. A flustered Alicia manages a stammered expression of gratitude. Her hand tentatively reaches for his, a silent acceptance of his aid. Her wide eye reflects his outstretched hand and something glinting within it. A magnificent, sparkling yellow gem rests in his palm. Could it be her missing magic stone? The Duke, stone still in hand, casually inquires about her peculiar activities. Alicia, dusting herself off, breezily claims she was merely training, leaving him to ponder her definition of the word. The Duke dryly notes her exercise would be considered advanced cavalry training, much to Alicia's flustered dismissal. He then points out a stray leaf in her hair, prompting her to search for it. Alicia comically pats her head, unable to locate the foliage, while the Duke watches with mild exasperation. With a sigh, the Duke gently reaches towards her hair to remove the offending leaf himself. His fingers brush her hair as he plucks the leaf, her vibrant eye widening at the close contact. Holding the small green leaf, he calmly informs her the task is complete. Suddenly, Alicia sways, and the Duke looks down with a hint of alarm as she leans precariously. A close-up reveals Alicia has inadvertently stepped squarely on the Duke's polished shoe. Her foot presses down, causing the Duke to visibly wince from the unexpected pressure. Alicia collapses forward, the Duke catching her just as her name is called out in surprise. Alicia, inches from the Duke, realizes her initial assumption might have been wrong. Their fingers interlock and a new certainty dawns on her. The Duke, with a flicker of urgency in his golden eye, silently pleads for her to release his hand. He hesitates to push her away, concerned for her safety even as he addresses her formally. Her gaze fixes intently on a gleaming button adorning his sleeve. With unwavering conviction, Alicia demands he give her the sleeve button. The brilliant yellow gem, now clearly identified in her mind, is undoubtedly a magic stone. She repeats her request, her eyes locked on the precious cufflink. The Duke, now somehow on the ground beside her, seems to have anticipated this fixation. Alicia looks down, a hint of disappointment clouding her features as she begins to explain a complication. She explains the gem is a Tessin family heirloom, a treasure passed down through generations, making it quite the ask. Alicia ponders this, a mischievous glint in her eye as she momentarily considers a less diplomatic approach. Still awkwardly positioned, Alicia is gently prompted by the Duke to, perhaps, unhand him. Now separated, Alicia offers a sheepish apology, which the Duke accepts with surprising composure. The Duke, ever the gentleman, clarifies he can't part with this particular stone, but offers to find a similar one from his family's collection. Her eyes widen, a spark of genuine delight igniting at his unexpected and generous proposal. Alicia beams, her hand outstretched, assuring him that even the possibility of another stone is thrilling news. They set off together, Alicia practically bouncing with newfound knowledge. The Tessin dukedom possesses magic stones. A sly smile plays on Alicia's lips as she suggests a rather intriguing way to repay his future kindness. The Duke listens intently as Alicia makes a bold proclamation. This winter, the snow will not fall. Alicia confidently predicts an unseasonal heavy snowfall from late March to early April, leaving the Duke to ponder the truth of her words. The Duke visualizes the devastating impact such a sudden spring snowstorm could have on his territory, realizing immediate preparations are vital. With a knowing smile, Alicia declares this crucial intel a freebie, not counting towards any favors owed. The Duke's golden eye narrows in thought, weighing the gravity of her unexpected forecast. Her unwavering, almost smug confidence convinces him. Her bizarre prediction must hold some truth. He expresses gratitude, acknowledging that her warning, even before he's found a stone for her, will significantly aid his domain. Alicia beams, genuinely pleased her foresight could be so beneficial as they continue their walk. As they approach the main building, Alicia sees a group of household staff assembled, clearly awaiting their arrival. Among them, Alicia spots a familiar face, Daisy the maid, just as a stern-looking butler questions her presence. The butler presents a velvet box to the Duke, who accepts it curtly, while Alicia gawks, wondering about the sudden formal gathering. The Duke leans in, informing a startled Alicia he has something for her, much to her sudden bewilderment. Just then, the butler announces Viscount Felix's arrival, awaiting the Duke in the main parlor. Alicia looks on as the Duke coolly declares his primary purpose was to see her, not the Viscount. With an intense gaze, the Duke issues a firm command for everyone to depart, seeking privacy. The assembled staff, including a slightly nervous Daisy, dutifully acknowledge his order and prepare to leave. Alicia subtly attempts to catch Daisy's eye, whispering her name as the maid begins to withdraw. Alicia nonchalantly instructs Daisy to stable her horse, a clear reference to her earlier unconventional training. Daisy gives a knowing nod, accepting the peculiar request as Alicia offers a cheerful thanks. Turning back with a disarming smile, Alicia faces the Duke, who patiently inquires if her little errand is complete. Alicia's composure shatters once more, her eyes wide as she stammers his title, caught off guard yet again. The Duke's hand moves to open the velvet box, Alicia internally bracing for what's inside. A brilliant light emanates from the opening box, hinting at a treasure within. He reveals a breathtaking ruby jewelry set, identified as belonging to the late Duchess Marguerite. Alicia stares, utterly flabbergasted, wondering if this opulent gift is truly meant for her. The Duke explains this magnificent ruby set is traditionally paired with the title of Count of Echeverria, urging her to wear it. Her eyes gleam with a newfound resolve, silently vowing to wear the jewels with pride. The Duke, observing her fierce determination, questions its intensity, to which she firmly agrees. Finding her earnestness rather endearing, he smoothly transitions, quizzing her knowledge of the imperial family. Alicia, though momentarily surprised by the sudden test, begins to confidently recite the imperial lineage. As she speaks, images of the imperial family tree appear, detailing past and present members, with the Duke himself featured prominently. Alicia confidently concludes her imperial family rundown, naming the Duke and his full sister, Princess Louise. The Duke, mildly impressed, notes her sufficient basic knowledge, which Alicia chalks up to a love for reading. He then advises her to keep her rather acrobatic exercises under wraps, a suggestion she'll thoughtfully consider. With business concluded, the Duke announces their next meeting will be at the official title ceremony. Alicia, ever practical, promises to inform the ducal house of her dress color choice, a detail he appreciates. Suddenly, the Duke leans in, closing the distance between them with a surprising intimacy. His golden eyes lock onto hers, the air crackling as he gets even closer. Alicia's eyes widen, her mind racing as she wonders about the truth behind his sudden, intense proximity. He confirms her unspoken question with a knowing look, affirming he witnessed something firsthand. The Duke pulls back slightly, a hint of a smirk playing on his lips, hoping his little demonstration proved insightful. Alicia watches the Duke gallop away, disappearing over the snowy hill with impressive speed. She muses on his departure, as swift and sudden as the wind itself. Alicia twirls her foot, internally admitting his unannounced visit was surprising, but he exceeded her expectations. The household staff, led by the butler, swarms Alicia, demanding to know how she got so chummy with the Duke. Concerned faces, including Daisy's, press Alicia for details about her private conversation with His Highness. Alicia notes with irritation how these very people were silent before the Duke, yet now they're full of questions for her. Her gaze sharpens, realizing that everyone, save for Daisy, is suddenly very interested in her affairs. Fed up with the interrogation, Alicia unleashes her frustration, ordering them all to leave. A palpable wave of fiery energy emanates from Alicia, stunning the surrounding staff into silence. The intimidated staff quickly find excuses to depart, citing meal preparations and Alicia's supposed fatigue. Daisy, ever observant, politely inquires if Alicia's exercise is done and offers tea. Alicia, clutching the precious ruby box, declines, her mind already racing with plans. With a serious gaze, Alicia summons Daisy, a new resolve hardening her features. A sudden, bright determination lights up Alicia's face as she instructs Daisy to prepare for an immediate departure. Alicia triumphantly announces their destination is the Echeverria estate, a knowing glint in her eye as she recalls a recent, pivotal moment. Meanwhile, a grim-faced Marquis Lane is revealed, fated to be absent from his own estate for some time. It's disclosed that Marquis Lane defied a royal command regarding an engagement, earning His Majesty's displeasure and confinement to the capital. The Marquis, however, seems to view this setback as an opportunity, a steely glint in his eye. Alicia, seizing her chance, declares with an almost wild grin that their first move is to escape this territory. Symbolic chains shatter, representing Alicia's decisive break from her current constraints. A grand carriage thunders towards a heavily chained gate, demanding entry. Inside the Lane mansion, someone descends the stairs, utterly bewildered by an unexpected commotion. Young Harry Lane rushes down, questioning his mother about his father's sudden return, while she urges caution. Harry presses his mother, wondering if she too was kept in the dark about the Marquis's arrival. The Marchioness confirms her own surprise, admitting no prior word reached her. The butler remarks on the Marquis's usual demand for a full household greeting, as the Marchioness laments her lack of preparation. A sudden dreadful thought strikes Harry, his eyes widening in alarm. His mind conjures a smiling Alicia, her imagined voice echoing the question he fears his father will ask. Where's Alicia? With a resounding crash, the grand doors to the mansion fly open. Marquis Lane storms into the hall, his furious gaze sweeping over the assembled staff as he bellows Alicia's name. The Marquis, his face a mask of fury, vehemently demands Alicia appear before him immediately. The terrified staff can only confirm the unsettling truth. Alicia is nowhere to be found. His fury intensifies, incensed that Alicia dared not even show her face to greet him. Harry and a maid look utterly bewildered as the Marquis storms towards the southern wing, an unusual destination for him. He impatiently demands Alicia's room, roughly pushing aside anyone who hesitates to answer. With a forceful shove, the Marquis throws open the door to Alicia's chambers. He bellows Alicia's full name, Alicia Sirius Lane, his voice echoing with unrestrained anger. Only an empty room and his own imposing shadow greet his furious summons. Harry cautiously attempts to interject, reminding his father of the many watching eyes. The Marquis casts a sharp, dismissive glance over his shoulder before presumably entering the vacant room. The Marquis seethes, finding it inconceivable that the heir to the Marquisate could simply disappear without a trace. Harry, with a troubled expression, reveals Alicia's destination, the Echeverria estate. His father stares in disbelief, struggling to comprehend Harry's startling revelation. Suddenly, the Marchioness makes a graceful entrance, golden light seemingly emanating from her steps. The household staff respectfully acknowledge the Marchioness, who stands poised and elegant in a striking yellow gown. With a serene smile, the Marchioness calmly confirms Alicia indeed left for Echeverria. The Marquis, now seated and demanding answers, turns his intense gaze upon his wife for a full account. She explains Alicia left a letter, expressing her desire to inspect her newly granted territory as a noble. The Marquis dismisses Alicia's justification as utterly preposterous, his disbelief evident. He then rebukes his wife, declaring she should have prevented Alicia's departure, while the Marchioness listens with a composed, unreadable expression. The Marchioness, with a serene smile, coolly questions how she was expected to intervene. She reminds him she's barred from the southern wing, making it impossible to even see Alicia, let alone stop her. The Marquis stares, utterly dumbfounded by her irrefutable logic. He massages his temples, accusing Marine of making a fuss over trivialities. With a chillingly sweet smile, the Marchioness wonders why her truth-telling agitates him so. The Marquis visibly flinches, her calm words clearly striking a nerve. She points out this is the first time in 17 years Alicia has ever expressed a desire contrary to expectations. A maid enters, confirming Alicia indeed left a letter, presenting it with a bow. The letter reveals Alicia's plea for her mother to create a diversion, allowing her escape before the Marquise's return. The Marchioness, her point made, advises her husband to cease his efforts right there. The Marchioness, with unwavering resolve, tells her husband to cease treating their children as mere instruments. The Marquis, visibly weary, concedes the argument for now, a flicker of resignation in his eyes. He then asserts the inescapable duty of nobility, ordering men to Echeverria to retrieve Alicia. As a supposed concession, he declares that upon Alicia's return, the Marchioness may freely access the southern wing. The Marchioness watches him depart, her expression carefully neutral, betraying nothing of her inner thoughts. A single tear escapes as she clutches her chest, hoping her diversion bought Alicia sufficient time. Her thoughts drift to her daughter, wondering if Alicia has safely reached her destination. Elsewhere, two impeccably dressed attendants stand ready before grand gilded doors. With synchronized precision, the attendants pull open the imposing doors, revealing a brilliant light. A line of maids bows deeply, welcoming a figure who has just arrived, addressing her as "my lady." Alicia, looking utterly radiant, steps into a new, luminous environment, a hint of surprise on her face. A composed woman, Petunia Rocas, formally introduces herself as Alicia's guide for imperial etiquette and settling in. Alicia, accompanied by her loyal attendant, graciously thanks Countess Rocas for the unexpectedly warm reception. The Countess reveals the Duke himself heralded Alicia's arrival, assuring her that a room awaits for her to recover from the journey. A bright-eyed maid named Annie steps forward, eager to attend to Alicia and lead her to her new quarters. Alicia, visibly pleased, notes the refreshing atmosphere, a stark contrast to her former home, and warmly accepts Annie's assistance. As they walk, Annie shares the household's enthusiastic preparations, all eager to make Alicia feel welcome. With a gentle touch, Annie indicates they've reached Alicia's designated chambers. Annie proudly presents a stunningly appointed room, hoping its elegance meets Alicia's approval. A genuine, joyful smile lights up Alicia's face as she declares the room absolutely perfect. Annie beams, delighted by Alicia's approval, and offers to leave her to rest. Alicia, alone with Daisy, marvels at the room, recognizing it as a famed masterpiece. Daisy, her attendant, voices her confusion, questioning if Echeverria was not their true destination. Alicia turns with a subtle smile as Daisy begins to grasp the unexpected change of plans. A magnificent golden emblem reveals their actual location, the dazzling imperial capital. The vibrant, sunlit streets of the capital teem with activity, a stark contrast to their previous surroundings. Alicia calmly explains that the upcoming title conferment makes a trip to Echeverria impractical. With a spark in her eyes, Alicia proposes an exciting alternative, a shopping spree in the capital. Daisy stares, completely taken aback by Alicia's sudden and leisurely suggestion. Alicia, radiating newfound freedom, insists they should enjoy themselves now that they're in the grand capital. Alicia and Daisy find themselves in an opulent perfume atelier, shelves gleaming with exquisite bottles. Alicia marvels, admitting she never imagined visiting such a place, especially a perfumery in the capital. Breaking from her usual bookish habits, Alicia confidently requests a sample of a particular fragrance. An attendant delicately applies a drop of perfume onto a testing strip. Alicia thoughtfully inhales the scent as the attendant inquires if the fragrance pleases her. The sound of approaching footsteps signals an arrival, and Alicia's gaze sharpens, sensing someone important. A striking woman with fiery red hair and captivating green eyes introduces herself as Katrina, perfumer of Vale. This is Katrina, the renowned genius perfumer from the Western continent, poised to make waves. Indeed, this very woman is destined to become the trendsetter for the capital's elite social circles. Katrina explains her curiosity was piqued by Alicia sampling scents for the first time, apologizing if she seemed forward. Alicia, recognizing Katrina's future renown, knows she must forge an alliance with this genius perfumer. She marvels at the fragrance's unique ability to adapt, feeling as if it were crafted just for her. Katrina beams, thrilled that Alicia so precisely grasped the intricate design of her scent. Alicia, in turn, expresses her delight at meeting such a gifted artist, while Katrina humbly accepts the compliment. Decisively, Alicia announces her purchase of the exquisite perfume, but her plans don't end there. She then extends a bold invitation for Katrina to visit her estate for a private fragrance sampling. Elsewhere, unseen envious nobles scheme, dismissing Katrina's talent due to her commoner status and foreign origins. Their arrogant thoughts reveal a plan to exploit Katrina, believing she'll have no choice but to obey a noble's demand. Unaware of these plots, Alicia graciously offers Katrina a formal invitation, her smile radiating confidence. Katrina, visibly honored and delighted, readily accepts Alicia's unexpected offer. Alicia strides confidently, her elegant attire hinting at her newfound status. Daisy voices her surprise at Alicia's apparent perfume expertise, catching Alicia slightly off guard. Alicia internally confesses her perfume knowledge is a clever ruse, banking on Katrina's future fame. She thoughtfully considers a fragrance, her expression a mask of connoisseurship. Alicia reflects on the importance of appearing knowledgeable in the capital, lest she be underestimated. Privately, she admits her true understanding of scents is minimal, lacking any real talent for it. Seeking reassurance, Alicia asks Daisy about her performance, who confirms she appeared utterly at ease. Visibly relieved, Alicia eagerly suggests they press on, keen to explore more of the capital's wonders. Later, in a vibrant yellow gown, Alicia decisively chooses her next acquisition. Admiring her reflection in new jewels, Alicia confirms her purchase with a satisfied smile. Alicia gestures expansively, indicating her intention to purchase a vast array of jewelry. With a dazzling smile and a flick of her fan, she declares her intention to buy every single piece. A cascade of elegantly wrapped gift boxes signifies the extent of her lavish shopping spree. The delighted shopkeepers bow deeply, overwhelmed by her generous patronage. Daisy, meanwhile, appears completely flabbergasted by Alicia's unrestrained spending. Alicia, noticing her attendant's weariness, inquires if she's tired, but Daisy politely denies it. Undeterred, Alicia encourages Daisy to persevere, promising their shopping adventure is nearing its end. With a knowing glance, Alicia announces they've arrived at their very last destination for the day. Inside a workshop, a skilled artisan meticulously crafts a shoe, his focus absolute. The craftsman looks up from his work, ready to assist his new, distinguished-looking customers. Alicia, ever poised, announces her intention to place an embroidery order, Daisy observing quietly. The shoemaker directs them upwards, indicating the embroidery workshop resides on the second floor. He then calls out for a certain Judith, alerting her to the presence of new clientele. A young woman named Judith promptly responds to her uncle, descending the stairs with a light step. Judith, with a bright smile, warmly invites Alicia and Daisy to ascend to the embroidery workshop. Now seated, Alicia and Daisy listen as Judith apologizes for any disarray, offering to prepare tea. Alicia, fanning herself gracefully, hears Judith explain that recent hecticness has left the workshop a bit untidy. Judith stands as Alicia reassures her, finding the workshop to be a charming and lovely little place. A cup of tea is presented to Alicia, Judith expressing gratitude for the compliment. Judith formally introduces herself as Judith Perlman, adding a touch of endearing uncertainty about proper etiquette. Alicia, with a charming smile, introduces herself and inquires about Judith's renowned private embroidery services. Judith blushes, modestly surprised that her humble skills have garnered such attention. Alicia then coolly instructs Daisy to present a particular item from their effects. A beautifully sealed scroll is laid before Judith, Alicia inviting her to inspect the design within. Judith unrolls the parchment, her expression keen as she confirms the request for an exact embroidered replica. The unveiled design reveals an intricate crest, dominated by a bold, stylized letter Z. With a subtle gesture, Alicia dismisses Daisy, seeking a private moment with the embroiderer. Judith's hands clench almost imperceptibly, a flicker of understanding dawning in her eyes. A knowing, almost unsettling glint appears in Judith's eyes as she reassures Alicia their true purpose remains a secret, achieved through a cleverly disguised journey. Alicia muses on Daisy's unwitting exhaustion, recalling the decoy visit to the shoemaker downstairs. Judith, holding her embroidery scissors, idly wonders if Daisy's tired feet might appreciate a new pair of shoes. Suddenly, Judith lunges, scissors aimed, demanding to know Alicia's true identity. Alicia, with surprising agility, catches the sharp tool, coolly identifying herself as the capital's current sensation. Her grip is like iron, effortlessly neutralizing Judith's aggressive questioning. Alicia then reveals her formidable lineage, heir to the continent's largest intelligence network and the sole successor of the Croa clan, twisting Judith's arm. The force of Alicia's counter sends Judith reeling, her name, Judith Perlman, echoing in the sudden silence. Judith stares, clutching her injured wrist, utterly bewildered by Alicia's ox-like strength. Alicia, now holding the scroll, calmly declares her true intention. She wants to be Judith's friend.